Welcome to Trading Lounge and the S&P 500 for the 1st of June. So our count is wave 3 over here, as you know, an A and a B wave up here and a C wave here for wave 4. And we're looking for our first 5 waves to the upside here, and then we'll see a correction. So let's dive in and have a look at that. But just before we do, we can see how far the S&P 500 pulled up to the previous length here. When we have a look at the Nasdaq here for a moment, this is the it's a daily chart here. This is the Nasdaq comp here. So the Nasdaq comp has moved, quite close to the high up here, and the Nasdaq 100, which is a subset of the comp, is moved even higher, which basically excludes foreign companies in the Nasdaq. So it's even moved higher here. So I know that from with trends and corrections is that double tops really never the end of the trend. So we also know too from doing US stocks that a lot of stocks have taken the top out through here. So we can expect the Nasdaq to do that, and also the S&P 500 to do that. When we have a look at the triple Q here, we can see that that's also up there as well. And I suppose it's good to have a look at, this is the S&P 500, just comparing that, which is still quite away from the top here. Also too, I think that the S&P 400 is quite interesting as well. So this is the S&P 400 here. And the S&P 400's got quite a sort of definition in its little move up through here in terms of 1 and 2 here, and 3 and 4 and 5 here. So in this case here, we could just count this as wave 1 here or wave 2 here. If we were looking at this going as a correction up here and failing, well, then we'll look at this as an A wave and a B wave and a C wave moving up. But there's no relation between these 5 waves here and these small little 5 waves here. But it's got quite a nice clear definition here for that. Anyway, I just thought I would have a quick look at that. So with our market here, the thing that we've had this count from the bottom here. We've looked at this, right from the low here. We figured would just be going straight up through the top here in 5 waves. Now the question was like, how is it going to do that? Is it going to be like wave 1 here and 2 here, and then a series of third waves building, keep building to the upside here? Or are we going to get a clear wave 1 here and pull back for wave 2 and then move up through there? So there's there's a variety of basically 2 ways that could be done as such. I've always taken the conservative view for a few reasons, safety being the first one, and also too there's a lot of roadblocks and resistance along the way with all of this as well, and as you know, the people that have been calling it bearish from down here and from here as well, calling it down, also calling it bearish from here and coming down as well. We need to look at their counts, and we need to see how they've arrived at those counts, and we need to qualify them, and we need to gather information and gather evidence and keep moving forward, but do it conservatively. It's not like that that we can clearly see that we're in a third of a third, or we're in this, or we're in that. We know that we're at a dangerous point here. We know that these markets have basically decoupled from the reality of life itself. With unemployment, I don't know where it is. It must be somewhere around 15%, and markets are up 30%, and things don't correlate that well with a lot of money being pumped into the system. So there's a lot of tricky sort of aspects there. All I can do is just really edge along step by step, gathering evidence along the way, and not being overconfident about something, or too fearful about something, but just try to stay with the facts and move forward on that. And so with this move up through here, we can look at it with a 1 and 2 here, which we'll do today, but we also need to look at it like this as well, and we just need to edge across and continue to move in on that basis. So on that note, we'll move in a bit further here. So one way to look at this move to the upside here with wave 3 here. Don't need to go all the way back, but 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 here. One way to look at this is up for 1 here and back for 2 here, and then up for 3 here and back for 4 here, and count 5 waves up through here. Now, this is being conservative, and I think it's the right thing to do. But we'll also look at more of a powerful move to the upside. The thing here, though, which is interesting, is that if I can just do this quickly here, just roughly, and this would be, if we take this high here and this low here, and then we take that there, copy that, or move that rather, and put it just there, then we can see here that wave 3 here is short compared to wave 1. So that's okay with Elliott, but that means that wave 5 has got to be less than wave 3 here. So wave 3 roughly is one of the Fibonacci numbers, 78.6% of this length here. Not quite, but close enough. But the takeaway here is that this wave, if this is going to be the case, this wave 5 here that I've got here sitting right here, it would have to be less than this wave 3 here. So that would leave us somewhere below the 3150 area, just in here. Okay, so we can take that on board, and we can basically start counting 5 waves into this space here, and see how we go from that point. We may come down, or we may pull back up, and if that's the case, we'll go long here on that basis. So we just got to work through this step by step. The other count here is, which we had a look at last time we spoke, which is looking at wave 4 here still, but counting this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 1 here and 2 here, and then 1 here and 2 here, then 1 here, and I did have wave 2 sitting, well, had it sitting just in here, but we do have a nice ABC pattern through here. So yeah, so we can look at this, just recapping this a little bit, we can look at that as wave 2 there, or we can look at it as wave 4. And I think it's okay. I mean, a lot of the time when we have 2 counts on something, they're in the opposite direction of each other, but at least these 2 counts are in the same direction, which makes life a little bit easier. One of the things we noted, I was going to bring the NASI across here, because one of the things that we noted before, we'd been counting 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I was always curious about this. I wasn't that happy about this overlapping here, but I gave it a bit of space because we're working with 9,000, a large number here, and I get overlapping wave structures. But now we can resolve this here, because when we were looking at this the other day here, we could count our 5 waves up here for the top here, so to speak, and then we had the first move down, this little move down here in 5 waves, and I thought, well, okay, well, we've made a start here, and then we moved back and we looked to short through here, and the market moved down, and then the market moved back up, and we always knew that if the market moved back up against this high here, moved through that, then the market's going to be bullish from that point. So that was on the note of that. That's why we got our count for the S&P gathering that evidence for a move higher, because after all, the NASI is leading the markets higher as such. So we can start to look at the NASI now moving up to 10,000 here. Number 1 in the markets is the strongest number well, my little concept about the trading levels, which is just support and resistance, and it's not perfect, but it can work well, and it can work in any time frame, and just based off the Fibonacci numbers as price ratios through here as 1, 2, 3, 5, and 8, and currently 5. Well, 5 to me is the second strongest number, and when we're at 9,500 here, so this is a beautiful setup here to push up higher here. There will be profit taking at 9, 8, and there's these are the minor levels between a medium level and a major level here. So the minor levels, and then then we have the sub levels in between those. So it depends on the degree of structure. But anyway, the takeaway here is that this was the piece of evidence that we moved forward on. So moving that to the side here and bringing back to this point here. Now, this move down through here appears to be in 3 waves. So I'm going to look at this on the tick chart, but I'll have this in green A and B and C here because I'm going to the conservative move of looking at this low as wave 4 here. So the tick chart is 100. And I'll need to bring some more data into this here. I'll just bring some more in here. Don't need that much. So where we were last time we spoke, we were looking at this as a possible top here, and we'd look at this wave 1 and 2 here, and then 5 waves down through to here, and then we had this low in place here. We were looking for a rally here, and then another low here would have given us 5 waves down here. And I thought, well, if we get 5 waves here, then after a correction we'll get another 5 waves down. But this 5 waves down didn't find us, didn't pull us down below the 3,000, the major trading level here. And I don't particularly like shorting before the level, before a main level. It's just not the done thing to do. You can always expect to bounce. So from this point here, we've got basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the third wave, fourth wave, and fifth wave here for this low here. Now I've got this weird move here that's in 3 waves to the upside here, and then down from here. So it makes it a little bit difficult to count this. I'm not quite sure about this. On the cash market, I can resolve it a little bit better. So on the cash market here, this is the SPX on 1 minute chart. So here I can see, I won't go through it, but I'll just count all this down here as 5 waves to this point. So I was thinking that this can be an A and a B and a C here, so an A and then a B and then a C wave through to this point here. So it's a little bit of a puzzle that I haven't resolved yet, this little move here, and these sorts of things bug me because if you don't sort them out, they get resolved later on. I suppose we could look at as an wave 1 here, an A wave here, B wave here, and a C wave here. I'd have to pull this apart, but just looking at it, looks like it's in 5 waves here. So anyway, I've got to get back. It's a problem I haven't solved just yet on that. So we'll come back to that, but I'll just leave wave 2, wave 4s here for this at the moment. And also too, this, I'll just come back here a moment. This cash market business here, from the top here, we do have 5 waves down to this point here. So we could have this as an A and a B wave here, and then 1 and 2 in here, and 3 and 4 in here, and 5 here, finishing here. And then we could still have our bear market come in here with our original top over here. I can't see that happening because this move down here doesn't have 5 waves on. This is a mixture. This is a CFD product here, which is a mixture of the physical market, the cash market, and the CFD and the futures market. So it's a bit of a mix. So anyway, we'll just keep an eye on this. But the takeaway here is that while the 3,000 is the support, we have to stay on the long side here. And based on the Nasdaq, as I mentioned, just recapping that over here, this is clear here that this is in 3 waves here. So we'll be taking out that top here, and that means that we'll be moving higher here. So in terms of being conservative here, just on the tick chart here, we're looking for a move that can take us to on the conservative side to about 31.50 here. So that can play out like this here. So we can expect probably something like that here. We can expect a little bit of a dance across the 100 here. So that's a minor level, and all these are sub levels in here. So minor level 1 here, minor level 2 here, and minor level 3 here. I should also point out too that this group 1 here of minor degree here, if we get support on top of group 1 here, of this one here, then the market's actually going to forget about the 3,000. This number 3, this is the good thing about number 3 here in a bullish market. Once we get support, a tested support on here, then psychologically or geometry or whatever it all is, whatever life is that the market will forget about this number here and will start looking up to the number 5 up here, which is the next level up here. So getting support on this will take us to this. Trading above this is not support. It needs to test it. It needs to be sitting on there solidly and then take off from that point. But we'll talk about this again. But support here, that means we get support here, that means we're taking out the top of the market way, back over here somewhere. So that's an important little number here. But for the meantime here, our conservative count to the upside, just counting 5 waves, will be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 coming up into this space here for this. If you're going long here at this stage, then the stop needs to stay under this low here for this. You could probably put it under this one here as well here, but it depends on how. I mean, most people tend to overtrade, so that means they've got to put their stop close, and because they put their stop close, that means they get stopped out a lot, and that means that they end up trading even more to try and get that loss back again. One thing leads to another, like attracts like. Alrighty, I think I've covered what I wanted to cover, so I'll just recap the situation. So on the 4-hour chart, we've got this conservative, we don't need all of that. We've got this conservative count to the upside that may or may not be correct from wave 4 here, 1 and 2 and 3 here and 4 here, and looking up for wave 5 into this little box area here around the 3150, from 3100 to 3150 in that space. Yeah, and we'll look at the structure when we get there, and of course the other count that we have for this, so you can quite comfortably trade long from up to the 100 here, and the more bullish count that we have on the hourly chart here still has wave 4 down here, but is looking for a larger 5th wave to the upside. So we've got wave 1 here and 2 here, and this is all part of a 3rd wave moving up here, and then a 4th and then a 5th that will take us higher at that point. So may not take us to, it'll take us pretty much close to the, if we go back to the daily chart here, this one will take us closer, that one that I just talked about will take us higher towards this top area through, whoops a daisy, up through here somewhere, and then that will create the sell-off for this wave 2 at that point. So we'll see how we go. In a nutshell, we're looking for one of them to take us to here and do this, and the other one will take us up here further, probably cover that little gap there or something crazy like that, and then have this here and then do that. So not quite sure which one we're working with here, but we'll just take it step by step. It's just a process that we need to work through. Alrighty, thanks for tuning in, and really appreciate your support. Thanks very much. Cheers.